Good morning, everyone. In the previous lecture, we studied about the design of the heel slab. Now, in this lecture, I will be going to discuss the design of the stem part of the counterfort retaining wall. In order to design the stem part, we must first understand its behavior, that how the stem behaves or deforms when the soil pressure acts on the stem. So, see, when the soil pressure acts on the heel slab it deforms in two directions. One is in this direction and the other is in this direction. Now, therefore, we can say that the deformation is bidirectional in the heel slab. That is, when the load comes on the heel slab, it deforms in two directions. One is this x direction and one is this y direction. And therefore, the heel slab it behaves as a two-way slab. Now, if I see this stem part of the retaining wall, when the soil pressure acts on this stem, it also deforms in two directions. One is this vertical direction and one is this horizontal direction or the y direction. So if suppose this is your z axis, so suppose this is your z axis, the stem part of the wall it deforms along the z-axis as well as the y-axis. Therefore, we can also say here that the deformation in the stem is bidirectional. That is, the deformation is in two direction, just like we saw in the heel portion of the retaining wall. Now, if you see the stem along this z direction, you will find that the stem is fixed at the base while it is free at the top. Therefore, the stem behaves as a cantilever structure along the z direction, and this cantilever action which takes place along the z direction is responsible to resist the deformation along this z direction. Now, this stem can be made up of can be considered to be made up of small strips of 1 meter width. Now, if you see these strips are fixed at the two ends because there are two counterforts. Therefore, each strip is fixed at the two ends. Therefore, these single individual strips they behave as a beam fixed at the two ends. Therefore, beam action takes place in the y direction, and this beam action is responsible to resist the deformation in the y direction. Now, in the design of the stem, we will consider these two actions. One is the cantilever action, and the other is the beam action in order to design the stem. So now we will see that how we will proceed to the design process of the stem. Now, in order to design the stem, we must first know or analyze the force which is acting on the stem. So the force which acts on the stem is the soil pressure, and we know that the soil pressure distribution diagram is a triangular and distribution with the zero value at the top, and at the base it is Ka gamma h. So Ka is the coefficient of active earth pressure, gamma is the unit weight of earth, and h is the total height of the retaining wall. So after putting all the values, I will get the value at the base of the base slab as 53.295. We already found out the thickness of the heel slab in the previous sections. So total height was already given in the question. So if this is 0.6, the height of the stem will be 9.5 minus 0.6, that is 8.9 meters. Now if I want to find out the soil pressure at the base of the stem, that is at a depth of h equal to 8.9 meters, I will just put h as 8.9 in this formula. So I will get Ka gamma h as equal to 49.93 kilonewton per meter width. So this much force, soil pressure, will act at the base of the stem. Now we will use this diagram to analyze the stem and to design the stem. We already discussed that the stem it exhibits two types of actions. One is your cantilever action and one is your beam action. So along the z-axis, the cantilever action is exhibited, and in the y-axis, the beam action is exhibited. So we will design the stem for these two actions. So first of all, we will analyze the stem for the cantilever action. So the cantilever, see if you see this diagram, This is the elevation of the stem part of this is the elevation of the full retaining wall. We are looking at the retaining wall from this side. So if I will look at the retaining wall from this side, the elevation which I will get will be like this. So this is your heel slam, these are your two counterforts, and this is the part of the stem. Now we already study that in this direction there will be unsymmetrical deformation because the stem is fixed at the base and it is free at the top. So obviously the deformation which will be going to take place in along this direction will be unsymmetrical. If you see this part of the stem, this part of the stem is fixed at both the ends. Therefore, the deformation which will be going to take place along the y direction will be symmetrical. Now, first of all, we will analyze the stem for the cantilever action. So you must understand this thing that the cantilever action takes place at the lower part of the stem. Now we have to find out that how much load will contribute to the bending moment and shear force in the cantilever action. So in order to know that, if I draw lines, E lines at an angle of 45 degrees, they will coincide at this point. If these angles are 45 degrees, this and this distance will obviously be 2 meters. Now, if I draw a horizontal line from here, this much load will contribute to the bending moment and shear force during the cantilever action. See, I told you that the lower part of the stem it exhibits the cantilever action. Now, how much lower part do we have to consider? We will consider the lower part of the stem according to the E lines. So we will draw E lines at an angle of 45 degrees. So they will coincide at a height of 2 meters from the base of the stem. So we will consider a strip of width 2 meter. Now, whatever be the load acting on this strip of 2 meter width, that load will be responsible to produce the bending moment and the shear force at the base of the stem. So now we will first find out how much force is acting on this strip. So we already know the pressure distribution diagram. So see, we already drew the pressure distribution diagram, and at the base of the stem the pressure distribution was the value of the pressure was found out to be 49.93. So this is the same diagram. Now we have to find out the value of pressure at this level. So if I see this level, the value of pressure this can be found out by Ka gamma h. So if this total height was 8.9, if this height is 2, so this height will be 6.9 meters. So if I put the value of h as 6.9 in this equation, I will get the value of pressure at this level. So in this strip there are two forces which are acting. One is your 38.71 at the top of the strip and 49.93 at the base of the strip. So now we will continue with the calculations. See, so just like we did the calculations in the design of the heel slam, we will continue with the same procedure in the design of the stem also. So first we will find out the average bending moment of ABCD. See, if you see this part ABCD, this much load is acting on this strip of 2 meter width. So the average bending moment of ABCD about CD. See, we will find out the bending moment about CD because the maximum bending moment will be at the base of the stem. And that's why we are finding out the bending moment at the base, that is CD. So, average bending moment of ABCD about CD will be C. First of all, convert this. See, if you see this diagram can be broken into two parts. One is a rectangular part and the other is a triangular part. If you see this rectangular part, this can be converted into force by taking its area. So the area of this rectangle will be length into width, and the length we know it's 38.71 and the width is 2. So 38.71 into 2, and this force will act at the CG of this rectangle, that is at a distance of 2 by 2. See, the CG of the triangle is at half the height. So the height is 2. So the CG will be at 2 by 2. Therefore, the distance of the force from this CD will be 2 by 2. So therefore into the perpendicular distance will give you the bending moment about CD. And similarly, now we will take the triangular part. Now let's find out the force due to this triangular part. In order to find the force acting due to this triangular part, just take the area of this triangular part. After taking the area, you will get half base into height. Base can be calculated by this. This much width is 38.71 and this total is 49.93. So this base of the triangle will be 49.93 minus 38.71, which is 11.22. So the area of the triangle will be half base into height, and this force will act at the CG of the triangle, and the CG of the triangle from the base is 1 by 3 of this height. So it means 1 by 3 of 2, that is 2 by 3. So after calculations, I will get the value of M average as 84.9 kilonewton meter. Therefore, just like we did in the design of the heel slam, M max can be calculated by 2 into the M average. So 2 is your multiplication factor. So we have multiplied M average, that is the average bending moment, by 2 in order to get the maximum bending moment. So 2 into M average will give you 169.8 kilonewton meter. Therefore, maximum bending moment per meter run will be, see, if I divide this maximum bending moment by the clear distance between the counterforce. So the clear distance between the counterforce was 4 meters. We already found out it in during the design of the heel slam. It is also shown here. So this clear distance is 4 meters. So if I divide this maximum bending moment by 4, I will get maximum moment per meter run, which will be 42.45 kilonewton meter. Therefore, ultimate moment can be found out by multiplying it with the factor of safety, that is 1.5. Therefore, mu will be 63.68 kilonewton meter per meter run. Now let's find out the area of reinforcement for this bending moment. See, let's consider that we are providing 20 mm dia bars and we are providing nominal cover as 50 mm. Therefore, the effective depth, it can be calculated by this formula: total depth minus nominal cover minus 5 by 2. That is 600 minus 50 minus 20 by 2. You will get 540 mm. And therefore, the effective depth is 540 mm. We know the formula of the percentage of steel, PT. So PT is equal to this. So just put all the values. FCK, we are using M20 concrete, therefore the value of FCK will be 20, and we are using Fe415 steel, therefore the value of Fy will be 415. Mu we just calculated. We will multiply this value by 10 to the power 6 in order to convert it into Newton mm, and divided by FCK is 20. B, we take 1000 mm because we design each and every component of the counterfort retaining wall for per meter width. So width will be 1 meter, that is 1000 mm. D, we already calculated 540 the whole square into 100. So this will give you PT equal to 0.06 percentage. Now we will find out the shear force at the base. The shear force will also be maximum at the supports, that is at your fixed support. So that is CD. So we will calculate the shear force along CD. So we know that this much part will contribute to the cantilever action. So we will convert this area into force, and this area can be divided into two parts, rectangular part and triangular part. Just take the area of both the parts, we will get the total force acting on CD. So the total force acting, shear force acting on the CG will be area of the rectangle, it will be converted into force, plus area of the triangle, it will be converted into force. So the total shear force V average will be equal to this. Therefore, Vmax will be equal to 2 times V average, which will give you 232.26 kilonewtons. Therefore, Vmax per meter run. If I divide this total value by the clear distance between the two counterforts, I will get shear force, maximum shear force per meter run, which will be 58.065 kilonewtons. Therefore, ultimate shear force, that is VU, will be factor of safety multiplied by Vmax, and the factor of safety is 1.5, which will give you 87.10 kilonewton per meter run. Therefore, using this, we can calculate the value of tau v, which will come out to be 0.16 MPa. Now, from the table 19 of IS 456, we will take tau c equal to tau v equal to 0.16 MPa, and from the table we can see that for tau c equal to 0.16 MPa, PT is, see, the minimum percentage of reinforcement is 0.12 percentage. We cannot go below 0.12 percentage, therefore we will take the value of PT as 0.12 percentage. Therefore, we found out the value of PT for MU as 0.06 and PT for VU as 0.12 percentage. We will take the maximum of these two values. The maximum value is 0.12 percentage, therefore providing the larger value of PT equal to 0.12 percentage. Now we know that the formula for PT is equal to AST upon BD into 100. After putting the values, I can get the value of AST equal to 648 mm square. Now we will see the beam action. So we know that the beam action will take place along the y-axis, that is along this direction, and the beam action will also be most prevalent at the base. See, we are taking the base because, as you can see from this diagram, from the soil pressure distribution diagram, soil pressure is minimum at the top and it is maximum at the base. So if I will consider a 1 meter strip at the top, the pressure distribution will be minimum, and as I go down, the pressure distribution will get maximum, will increase, and when I reach at the bottommost part of the stem, the pressure will become maximum. Therefore, I will take 1 meter strip from the base of the stem. So in order to analyze the stem for the beam action, I will divide it into strip, and I will take the bottommost strip of 1 meter width, because at the bottom the pressure is maximum, and by putting the maximum value I will provide the reinforcement. So this is your stem. So from the base of the stem, I have considered a strip of 1 meter width. This was a pressure distribution diagram. So I can find out the value of pressure at the top of this strip. And this is your strip, and at the top the value will be Ka gamma h. If this width is 1 meter, this height, the depth of the top of the strip will be 7.9 meters. So this value will be Ka gamma h, that is 0.33 into 17 into 7.9. So I will get 44.32. Therefore, see, now if you will see this strip, you will come to know that two types of pressure intensities are acting on this strip. One is 44.32 at the top of the strip and 49.93 at the base of the strip. Therefore, we will take the average of the two values. Therefore, average loading on the strip per meter run will be 44.32 plus 49.93, this divided by 2. So I will get W average, that is the average loading, as 47.125 kilonewton per meter run. Now let's coming to the calculations further. So therefore ultimate loading will be equal to 1.5 W average, that is 70.69 kilonewton per meter. See, now we considered a strip at the base of the stem. Now the strip is fixed at both the ends, and we know that whenever a beam is fixed at both the ends, maximum negative bending moments are at the fixed ends, while the maximum positive bending moment is at the center of the beam. The value of the maximum bending moment, which is at the supports, is WU L effective whole square, this divided by 12, and the value of the maximum positive bending moment is WU L effective whole square, this divided by 16. After putting all the values, see, the value of L effective we have already found out in the design of the heel slab. So I will just write the value here, so which was 4.54 meters. So after putting the values, I will get the value of the negative bending moment as maximum negative bending moment as 121.42 kilonewton meter, and the value of the maximum positive bending moment as 91.06 kilonewton meter. Now we will find out the area of steel for Mu negative. See, two kinds of bending moments are being produced in the strips. First is the negative bending moment, which is at the supports, and the other is a positive bending moment, which is at the span, in between the span. So we will provide reinforcement for both the bending moments, for the negative bending moment also and for the positive bending moment also. So first we will provide reinforcement for Mu negative. So following the same procedure, first we will find out the value of PT by this formula. So it will come out to be 0.12 percentage. Now, as we did in the design of the heel slab, Vu becomes W into L by 2 minus D, because when two compressive forces are present at the two ends of the beam, the critical section, it gets shifts through a distance of small d. See, this we already did in the design of the heel slab. So I will not be going to discuss this again. So, so I can find out the value of the ultimate shear force from this formula. So W, we know this value. L, we know the value of L, the value of small d, that is the effective depth, we know. So after putting the values, I will get the value of the ultimate shear stress as 122.29 kilonewtons. Therefore, tau V will be Vu upon Bd. So this will come out to be 0.23 MPa. Now we will find out the value of PT, that is the percentage of steel corresponding to the value of tau V, that is 0.23 MPa. So from table number 19 of IS 456, I will take tau C equal to tau V equal to 0.23 MPa, and for this value I can find out the value of PT to be 0.12 percentage. Now the PT for Mu negative is 0.12 and PT for Vu is also 0.12. Therefore we will take PT equal to 0.12 percentage, which is also equal to the minimum steel required. So by putting the formula, I can find out the value of AST, which will come out to be 648 mm square. We already assumed at the beginning that we are going to provide 20 mm dia bars. Therefore, the spacing will come out to be area of 1 bar AB into 1000, this divided by AST. So area of 1 bar will be pi by 4 into 20 whole square. This into 1000, this divided by 648 will give you 484 mm. But the maximum spacing is 300 mm. Therefore, we will provide 20 dia at the rate 300 center to center. So now we will provide the reinforcement for Mu positive. See, if you see from the above values, you will find that Mu positive is already smaller than Mu negative. And for Mu negative, we have already provided reinforcement, which is the minimum reinforcement required, that is 0.12 percentage. So even if Mu positive is smaller than Mu negative, we can't provide PT smaller than 0.12 because it is the minimum steel required. So therefore, for Mu positive also, we will provide the same reinforcement, that is PT equal to 0.12 percentage. Therefore, from this formula, I can calculate the value of AST, which will come out to be 648 mm square. Now, we will provide 20 mm dia bars at the rate 300 center to center for Mu positive. See, now this is your stem. Now, as the height of the stem increases, the reinforcement also has to be decreased. Now, we will find out that how much reinforcement has to be decreased. See. So what we do is we keep on decreasing the reinforcement after every h by 3 height. So if I take height of h by 3 from base, so after a height of h by 3, the reinforcement will get reduced. Then again after a height of h by 3, the reinforcement get reduced, and that reduced reinforcement will ultimately reach to the top. So we reduce the reinforcement in three stages. First in two stages. First after this level and then after this level. Now how much will be decreased? See, for h depth from the top, the effective depth is d. If the depth is small h, the effective depth was small d. Therefore, for 2h by 3 depth from the top, see, suppose the effective depth is a small d for a height of small h. Therefore, for a height of 2h by 3 from the top, the effective depth will be d by h into 2h by 3, just to use the unitary method. See, unitary method that we are applying here is just an approximate method. If you want to actually find out the real value of small d, you will have to find it at this level, h by 3, and then we will put the value, and then we will get the value of ast. But for our rough calculation, we can use the unitary method. See, for height h, the effective depth is d. Therefore, for a height of 2h by 3 from the top, the effective depth will be d by h into 2h by 3, which will be 2 by 3 d. Now, for 2h by 3 height from the bottom, there, see, if I take 2h by 3 height from the bottom, at the top it will be h by 3. So therefore, for h depth from the top, effective depth is d. So therefore, for h by 3 depth from the top, the effective depth will be d by h into h by 3, which will give you 1 by 3 of d. Now, we know that AST is 0.12% of the cross-sectional area. Therefore, for D1, the formula of AST will be AST1 equal to 0.12 into 100 divided by 100 into BD1. So if I divide these two equations, I will get AST1 upon AST equal to D1 upon D. So this will give you the formula of AST1 as D1 upon D into AST. Therefore, at 1 by 3rd height from the bottom, D1 की value, the value of D1 is, see, at 1 by 3rd height from the bottom, the value of d1 is 2 by 3d. So therefore, we will put the value of d1 as 2 by 3d. So after calculation, I will get 432 mm square. So therefore, after a height of h by 3, the value of AST will get reduced to 432 mm square. Again, after a height of h by 3, we will again reduce the reinforcement. So therefore, at 2 by 3 height from the bottom, d1 is h by 3d, 1 by 3d. So putting the value in this equation, I will get in the value of area of reinforcement as 216 mm square. So therefore, at the bottom, the area of reinforcement will be 648 mm square up to a height of h by 3. After h by 3, the area of reinforcement will become 432, and after h by 3, the value of AST will become 216 mm square. Now in the next lecture, we will be going to study the design of the counterforce.